Yeah,
Mine, it says live on YouTube already, but
well, mine doesn't.
I see it saying live on YouTube as well.
Well, it hasn't got all the way to YouTube yet.
Don't start without me. I'm going to get my glasses.
Come
when
on.
she comes back, we'll say, and motion to adjourn.
Okay, there we go. Now we're up.
Oh, sure. Now smile, Michelle.
Sorry, the lighting in here sucks, but at least I won't get cut off. So
Missing a couple.
let's see, Haley Quinn, Blair, we just missed. Oh, there's Angie. But at least I won't get cut off. Well, I just heard my voice.
Oh, that was me. I didn't have it muted. I was just seeing if we were live.
Okay.
We are.
I was waking up too there, Joe. I was like, what the crap am I doing?
Okay, so it is, oh no, it's not quite 6.
Quinn's having some troubles getting in. Let's hope he's gonna get in here.
Oh, if the back isn't 100. Yeah.
Waiting to begin. If you heard fire alarms going off today and fire trucks driving down the road, to confirm there was a structure fire in the city in South Weber today. There was response from, of course, our department, Layton, Riverdale, and Weber Fire District also responded and helped out. Just so you know.
What part of the city was that in?
They were zooming past here, so it had to be the west end.
Yeah, I heard that all individuals were safe, but we did lose a dog. And it wasn't the entire structure that went up. It was deemed an electrical fire. So no foul play as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Always sad when you hear of those types of things.
Yeah. All right, it looks like we're all here. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to our South Weber City Council meeting of February 16th, 2021. All council members are in attendance. It's 6:01 p.m. This is going to be a brief meeting, hopefully. We only have one item on our agenda, but I first need to read the order on public meetings for electronic meetings. I, Joe Schoblum, as mayor of South Weber City, do hereby find and declare as follows. Due to the emergency conditions which currently exist in the state of Utah, and specifically in Davis County and South Weber City as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent surge in COVID-19 infections across the state and in Davis County, the holding of public meetings with an anchor location as defined in the Utah Open Public Meetings Act presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. And the risks to those who may be present at an anchor location can be substantially mitigated by holding public meetings of the City Council pursuant to electronic means that allow for public participation via virtual means. And the city has the means and ability to allow virtual participation in the public meetings in accordance with the Utah Open and Public Meetings Act. Now, therefore, based upon the foregoing, For 30 days from the date of this order, meetings of the South Weber City Council shall be conducted by electronic means without an anchor or location. That's not necessarily true. I believe we'll be back in person at our next meeting. So that's just for tonight. All right. With that being said, we will move to our opposition letter to HB 98, local government building regulations, sponsored by Representative Ray. And Dave, do you have that document, that letter for the council to view?
Yes, let me share my screen so that everyone can see that. Did that pull up for everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
This is a letter that has been drafted for the council's consideration. It specifically addresses Governor Cox. However, we can change the addressee to include legislatures from the House and the Senate if desired, or legislative leadership if desired. But ultimately, the letter expresses our opposition to HB 98. Local government building regulations. And we were able to circulate this via email to the council this afternoon. It is in a draft state, so we have the ability to amend it if we would like, and consider any changes if we would so choose. During the Legislative Policy Committee meeting today with the Utah League of Cities and Towns, this bill was addressed. And there are some negotiations taking place and some amendments that it looks like will come out. And a substitute bill is being discussed. And so we want to make sure that the council knows that as we discuss the opposition here. The letter outlines a general opposition and a desire for whoever we address it to, the governor and legislature and others, to consider the problems associated with this bill. That's a general overview. I'm happy to answer questions and discuss. I know that the mayor and Councilmember Windsor were also part of the Legislative Policy Committee today and can answer questions about that discussion and how it relates as well.
Has everyone had a chance to read the letter? I know it was just
Yes.
put out today. So are there comments or questions on, or things that you would like to add?
I'm in
every-
favor of the letter, obviously. I do think it needs to be addressed to the House and the Senate as well. I mean, separately, obviously, but I don't want to just add them to the top. We probably need to address it separately.
I agree.
Do we want to send one to just the committee as well, since it hasn't gotten into committee yet? Or should we just do the 3 houses? Being the
So, so one of the concerns today, and I think even Cameron Deal brought it up, is that the bill hasn't come out of committee yet. It hasn't hit the floor. And ULCT is currently in negotiations on that bill. And so the concern is maybe that we, what do you call it, Dave? We might be putting the cart before the horse in sending this off before we know exactly what the negotiations are going to be. Now Dave addresses that in this letter. He says, we acknowledge that discussions are ongoing regarding final language. However, we feel the foundational principles of this bill are off base and harmful to the safety of the residents of the state. So we could send it off with that verbiage, but there is a concern that perhaps this will, I don't know, possible muddy the water during negotiations, like maybe not help or might hinder, but with that caveat in there, I don't know that it would be an issue. How does the,
Sorry, just help me understand. How would it hinder?
I think it's just, there is a committee representing the cities that is working to negotiate, and so Cameron kind of cautioned against perhaps sending these letters before this bill actually goes to the floor.
Has he changed his mind? I mean, I thought I had heard that Representative Ray wasn't really willing to make any amendments or any negotiations. Has that changed in the last 48 hours?
Mayor, if I may jump in.
Yes, you may, Wayne.
Yes, to answer your question, Councilmember Alvarez, it was purported to us that Councilmember Ray is working on a sub. He has been working and has moved off of his previous position to the point that if all the proposed changes that are being discussed, the Utah League of Cities and Towns will take a neutral position on the bill, provided all those changes come forward. We're expecting to see the second substitute in, they say, 3 or 4 days. And they say it's tricky when the bill's not public to be commenting on a bill that's commonly going in changes. So there is some shifting in the language to the betterment of the cities. What that language is, we have yet to see until the second substitute comes out. So we could be throwing, rattling our saber with this letter, and it could be a moot point after the second substitute, or we may find some other points that we want to bring out and be more poignant in our letter, and have addressed specific issues on that second substitute. So we just need to be very careful as to what we bring out and how we want to bring it out, or if we just want to be general in the statement that we send out there. It may not have the emphasis we may want it to if the bill's changed and it's like a lot of hot air. Not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying we need to be aware that there's changes out there, and those changes are headed in a positive direction.
So if I understand correctly, the only person or only group we could really send it to this point is the committee itself. And I don't know what value that has. Do they listen to letters? You'd have to attach the bill as original. And like you say, if they're working on changes, then maybe we need to wait until after we see what those changes are before we send out something. Is that kind of what we're saying right now?
I think that might be a good course of action. We didn't discuss this until today. But like Wayne said, Representative Ray is looking at negotiating with cities now, and he's softening a bit on his stance. And so if we are to send it to the governor and to the House and to the Senate, we probably ought to wait until the final language is in place, as it will be presented to the House. So I guess we have two choices. We can send it now, and I guess we could send it to everyone, Dave, but like Quinn says, it might, if the language changes, it's going to be pretty much a moot point.
I agree with the idea that there's still quite a process that's playing out here, and there's still negotiations and changes that are happening, and we are anticipating those changes. As we put this meeting together over the weekend, it still looked like it was going to be very unfavorable to us. And even with the changes, I don't know if we'd fully support it and be behind it, but the league is talking about moving from opposition to neutral. And as that, I see the value in conversations like this, and in the cities and individuals reaching out to state legislators as the process goes forward, because it has helped Representative Ward and others, or Representative Ray, I mean, sorry, and others recognize the, how we feel as cities, and that has helped to make changes. And so, things like this, actions like this are beneficial in the overall process. And so my thought is like has been stated, we are seeing a shift and we are seeing a change, and it looks like it's moving in a positive direction. It may not get as far as we want it to go, but it is not as detrimental as the initial language was that came out. So a letter like this, overall, I believe these are exactly the types of steps that we need to take as cities when things are happening that could change the game for us negatively, and we need to make our voice heard. It feels to me like our voice is being heard and that there are changes still taking place. The question is whether or not we want to send this now, or if we feel like what's happening is going to get us where we need to go and we want to wait and see. And then perhaps if we feel like it hasn't gone far enough, send the letter at that point, or to continue to be part of the League of Cities and Towns and be part of that process, or to branch out on our own to make this statement as it is drafted right now.
Haley, did you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I'm just gonna be frank with everyone. I'm gonna be bold and say there isn't anything in this bill I like. I don't really necessarily see a way for this to be amended to something I feel is good for our city. I've reviewed the things that the ULCT is gonna be reviewing, and I'm not sure that I would like this bill any better. If the ULCT got everything they wanted, I still don't think that I would like this bill. And so I'm just one of 5, of course, but I don't know that I'm okay with looking to see how they amend it, because I think the whole thing should just go. But that's just my 2 cents there.
Okay, other comments? Angie,
Has her hand raised.
sorry.
That's okay, thank you. Do we know when this goes back to committee? Do we have a time frame of when the committee is meeting again? The reason I'm asking is I want to know if we choose to redraft the letter, how much time we have to do that.
What came out of ULCT today was they estimate a second substitution bill will come out in 2 to 4 days. So later this week. How soon that goes to committee, I don't know, but it could go fairly quickly after that point. It does have to be made public. It does have to be reviewed, and it does have to go to committee. So we don't have much time to either send this letter or to wait, and then we can fine tune the letter to be more specific, if at all. Hearing council member Alberts, it doesn't sound like the letter would change in context or in syntax, regardless of what the changes are. And I can see that point moving forward. I just wonder if there would be something more we want to point out, another paragraph or something more specific with the changes. I don't know. And if it's timely to get it done and get it into their hands before they get in and out of committee. They did say that we're in week 5, and a majority of the bills, since the budget is going to be wrapped up this week, a majority of the bills get pushed through and onto the floor in the next 3 weeks. So this is when you're going to see all the action. So things are going to start moving real quick on all these bills here to forward.
So perhaps what we need to do then is still send this to the committee. I mean, we can email it to them, they'd have it right away so they would know where we were at. Because if things are moving quickly and there's more bills coming forward, then it might get lost in the shuffle with everything else. So as Haley said, this bill is not favorable and in Dave's wording, the foundation of this bill is not favorable to municipalities. And I don't feel like any changes will probably change the fundamentals of this bill that he's trying to accomplish.
Dave, could we, I mean, if we send this now to committee, just to committee, and then there are changes made and we want to make changes to this, could we somehow pass a motion tonight that would allow us to make the changes without having a meeting and voting on it? Maybe just sending out the revised version to council and have them approve it that way, or does it need to come to another open meeting?
I think the majority of the substance would remain the same. And if there are slight amendments that we could do that and send that to others. I think a motion tonight from the council would have to include that language, though. Not the language of the document, but the language of you're authorizing to proceed and send a second letter in order to respond in a timely manner to the shifting tide.
Okay. I think that would be a quicker way to get it to where it needs to go if we have to act fast. So, Quinn.
So just clarification from Wayne and Mayor, you have a feel for what the League of Cities and Towns is feeling. I don't know if I understood correctly, if you said it would complicate matters for us to send stuff to the committee right now while they're negotiating with them. I just want to know the way you took their updates as, would this help them while it's still in committee to have cities send letters like this to the committee? Or did you say that it might complicate matters to have cities engaged at this point?
I know is it the president of the league? Is Cameron the president, or what is his title? Cameron Dale.
He's the director. He's the executive director.
Director of that group. Cautioned against sending it out while it is in committee. And so I don't think it would help the ULCT, according to what Cameron has stated today.
So when you send it out to the governor and all the others, or just send anything to the committee?
So what my recommendation would be is to wait and see what the substitute contains, fashion do a second draft of this letter before it goes to the floor, but while it's after it's been to committee and approved by committee, and send it out to the governor and the House and the Senate. That's
Mayor,
my recommendation.
Quinn didn't specifically say my name when he asked those that were as part of LPC.
I'll include you, Dave.
That's just fine. I don't matter that much in this group. But I would like to bring my perspective, and you asked the question, how did we take that? My take on it was that the league is still working to and still trying to maintain a working relationship here. And there were other cities that were discussing the possibility of sending a letter. And we asked the question specifically, because they're in negotiation, should we wait? And the recommendation was to wait from the league. It would feel like a little bit of breaking ranks, so to speak, in order to step outside of the overall larger league conversation and negotiations that are talking about and taking place. However, like I said earlier, and to Haley's point, the conversations that individuals have with legislators and individual cities have with legislators help move the needle, and is part of the process. Not every word that comes from cities has to filter through the league or has to go through the league. Although we are a supportive member of that group, and we support what the league is doing and what they're working to accomplish. But not every city feels the exact same as the league as a body. And there are dissenting votes on lots of different issues. And as a policy committee, we have to take stances as a league and as a group. But that doesn't preclude cities from making statements on their own or doing things that they feel is right. And so if we feel strongly as a group that regardless of any changes, the bill is not going to, get us where we want to go, we have every right to voice that opinion. But it would, in my perspective, be like stepping out of ranks, so to speak, to make that type of a statement.
So I hear what you're saying, and I understand we're a member of the league, and I appreciate the work they do, but we're always telling our residents to get involved and make your voice heard. And I feel like if we don't say something, aren't we doing our residents a disservice? Because I understand there's negotiations, but why are we saying, hey, someone told us not to speak our minds, so we shouldn't? I kind of take issue with that. I feel like there wouldn't be this harm done if we send a letter to the committee and saying, hey, change the wording on this. I may be way off base, but I don't understand why someone's telling us to be quiet and we're saying, okay.
Thanks, Angie.
I don't think they're really telling us to be quiet. I think it was more just a caution as to whatever you say, understand that there are changes coming about with the second substitute. I'm of the position that we do need to send a letter, but giving them 3 to 4 days to come out with a second substitute, logistically, that puts them, Friday, Saturday? I don't think a committee is going to meet on Sunday. We all need to get together to sign the letter before we send it off. This might be something that if we make a motion today to either table or approve it, it can be executed on Tuesday next when we meet as a council and be sent off that very day electronically.
Blair, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did. And I agree with Wayne's last comment. I think it's something that we could agree to maybe, pass or vote on this letter that could go out. But I think that doing this on many bills, work related over the years, I think the timing of it is what they're more referring to is critical. I mean, sometimes if you're sitting in those committee meetings, these letters and some of the things don't mean a whole lot until it gets to the floor or goes out for the first review. I think if we wanted to send things personally right now, today, tomorrow, whatever, that's a different story coming from a citizen versus a city. I think the impacts would be just like it coming from the league. It's different in timing. I think that's why they're asking for that, to just maybe hold off for 2 or 3 days. I don't think they're saying don't send them. I think they're just saying hold off. And I think if we voted on this and if the bill doesn't hardly change, then we just send this letter off. It's something we all know we're not in favor of it. And so I don't think it's something we have to send out tomorrow. And I think that's just a courtesy thing. And maybe it might even be a strategy thing of how to defeat it. Because if we send it tomorrow, it's still in committee, it goes 5 days from now, the legislature, they're going to forget most of what we just sent them, because they're going to get 50 other bills and letters too. The timing is critical.
And the content, because if the content changes before it goes to the floor, then they're going to take one look at the first sentence and go, well, this is old.
Yeah, and I agree with Haley. I don't think they can change, and Angie, I probably all of you, that I don't think the bill can change that we would be in favor for it. I think it's more of a timing issue than it is whether we will agree with the bill or not. Even if the league goes neutral, I think we'll still oppose it as a city, in my opinion.
Well, to go with Blair saying, just speaking up as a city, would add more weight behind what the Utah League of Cities and Towns is trying to communicate with Representative Ray.
Mhm. So are you saying do that to just send it to him personally?
No,
Oh.
I'm just saying, by sending a letter like we are talking about tonight is going to benefit and help the league in their negotiations with whatever second substitute comes out. It's not going to hurt. Who do we send it to? I think you send it to the committee. And then if we need to do a follow-up letter to the governor and to the Senate and to the House, we can do that as well.
Haley?
So I guess I'm still not sure. I get what you're all saying. I'm still not really sure how this hurts us. So my recommendation would be to send this letter. I think that it send the message. And again, this is just me, but if others feel this way, that this really isn't negotiable. The ULCT taking a neutral position, if they get those things that they mentioned, doesn't change my opinion. This bill needs to go. So if it goes to committee and it's a substitute, what we're sending to the committee right now is we don't care what's in the substitute. It's not good for our city. If it goes through a second substitute, a third substitute, a fourth substitute, the more substitutes this bill does, the more likely it will pass committee. So I think we need to get ahead of the game in the beginning of it and saying, hey, there's things in this bill that can't be negotiated. I don't know that it would be beneficial to wait until a second substitute or a third, unless we want to just keep sending them every single time until they understand that there isn't a substitute that's going to be acceptable, at least not to me. But I think we definitely should go to the committee first, but I wouldn't send it to the governor or the House or the Senate until it passes committee. I mean, at that point, they're not going to read it. They're going to wait until it passes committee. So there's no reason to send it to them unless it passes committee. If it passes committee, then yeah, we need to send them like crazy. But I mean, I've sent, I don't even know how many emails now on numerous bills, and I've heard back from like 2 people. So if I need the weight of my council and my council feels the same, I don't understand why we wouldn't do that.
And I agree with you. I'm okay sending it to the committee because I don't think that harms anything. I just don't think it helps you, like you just said, to send it out prematurely to the others.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what I was saying. Why would we not send it to the committee? Even though the league is negotiating, it's okay to have our voice there as well to the committee.
I hear a motion in there somewhere.
Someone want to make a motion?
Haley?
I screw them up every single time. Go for it, Wayne.
Oh, you need the practice.
Oh no, see, I have to do this provision of like this amended edition coming up later. I'm gonna botch it. Angie?
You can do it. You can do it.
Okay, let's see. Hold on 1 second. All right, Mayor, I make a motion to send an opposition letter regarding House Bill 98, local government building regulation amendments to the committee. Oh, Dave, do you know what committee that's going to? Do I need to know? Can I just say committee?
You don't need to know. I can look it
Yeah, we
up.
can look it up.
Okay, to the committee prior to going for second substitute with the ability to amend said letter in the event that substitutions are made. I don't know, guys, help me out.
You're doing well. Keep going. Is that the end?
Think so. Does that cover everything?
Did we cover everything? I think so.
Question.
Go ahead.
Wait, you have to call for a second first before we can ask questions. Sorry.
Second.
Do we have a second? Okay. Councilman Halverson, did you second it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
now comments.
If we're going to send it out to the committee, how do we address, how do we amend a letter until, I mean, logistically, it doesn't work. To me, we either send the letter as it's written right now to committee, done. Or we wait until the second substitute comes out and then amend it and send it out to the committee. When I heard you, the first part of your motion was, let's send the letter as it sits right now, send it out now. And if that's part of your motion, I'm fine with that. But if you have to amend it, well, then we'll have to wait 4 or 5 days. And that's not what you really are asking.
She was,
Okay,
I think she just meant that as long as it was, if the substitute bills, if the substitute bills came out and we needed to amend that letter, it gave this staff the ability to amend that letter and send it back out without having to have another open and public decision on this.
Okay.
So do we need to clarify, send it out to potentially governor, Senate, and House?
And that, yeah, and I was gonna
Yes.
just ask if we could add to the motion that at a later date, we may be able to send this same letter or the revised letter out to the Senate and the House and the governor.
I like that.
And I still second that.
Okay.
Okay. Does that get us where we want to go, Dave? Do you have all the motion
Yes,
down?
I feel like it does. The way I understand the motion is that we would send the letter as is to the committee that is still discussing it. And then if revisions are made, substitutions are made that warrant a second or third or fourth letter, however it may be, that we can amend that and send that to the appropriate groups at the appropriate time in the future.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? All right, then I will go through the council. Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Alberts,
Hi.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilman Windsor,
Aye.
and the motion carries. All right. Are there any other further comments on that? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got a
Yes,
comment.
Haley.
When do you need us down there to sign that letter?
Dave?
Can we do that electronically? If you're okay doing that electronically, we can circulate that around and have you sign it electronically.
Is everyone okay with that? Okay,
I have a
let's do
question.
it that way. Yes.
So we also discussed the press briefing or press release. And I just wanted to see with Dave are we able to sign that individually? Or is that something that also needs to be council think?
Remind me which press release.
So,
Oh. Go
So
ahead,
there-
Haley.
sorry, there's two parts to this really. There's the declaration going out to the committee as we just passed. There is also a press release being prepared where other cities are signing it to go to the press, showing our opposition to that. If the council chooses to sign that, is it something that we can do as individuals, or is it something that needs to be done in a public meeting as well?
Well, you have the ability as individuals to make your voice heard like that, whenever you like. If you want to have it signed as a city, as an organization, then we would need to have that language so that we could have everybody participate.
So if we just signed it rather than signing it South Weaver City Council, we could just, if you agree with it, Councilmember Haley Alberts from South Weaver City or whatever, that works, okay?
Yes.
But if we all fundamentally disagree with the bill and as the benefit of the city, is it a problem to just make the motion and have the staff or mayor or whoever sign that in opposition to that?
I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with that. My only hesitation is is not having the language of the press release that everybody can look at and review and make sure that they're okay with.
I agree. I agree with that.
So
Haley, do you know the timing of the press release? Are they looking at doing that after it comes out of committee or
No,
now?
I just got it 1 minute before our meeting started. I haven't read it, so I can send it to each one of you. And then if we can sign it individually, you know, you can just let me know if you're wanting to participate in that. I just wasn't sure if that would also need a public meeting or not.
What organization is putting that together and coordinating that press release?
Let me look. The title of the press release is Northern Utah City Council Members Align in Opposition to House Bill 98. And then it will just be signed by all those who agree with the press release.
I think that the best course forward is probably send that out to council members, and if they individually feel like they want to participate and sign their name to that they can. That
Okay.
doesn't take another public meeting as a city action.
Okay, I will get that to everybody.
All right. If there's nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor,
So
I make a
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Quinn, will you second that?
I'll second Angie.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, everybody.